Hello everyone and welcome back to the FRS, where tonight we have got round 2 of the GT Series here at Kyalami in South Africa, as we join our drivers as they get started with tonight's qualifying session. As we prepare for Manuel Hartwich to start the first flying lap of the session, and we will allow Hartwich to take us around this Kyalami circuit as we approach the evening here, 5 PM track time. We head into the tight first corner, a little wide of the apex of Hartwich. It's a long corner, want to just hold onto that speed as we come up to the next heavy braking zone. Down onto the longest straight of the second longest straight of the circuit, I should say. All important to get that good exit. You see the drivers using maybe a bit more curb during this session than we've seen with the last patch here at Kyalami. The curb's super compliant and one of the easiest ways to find a lot of speed now. Up the hill into the blind braking point. The hairpin. Heavy on the brakes, turn in, find your apex, full throttle down the hill and through the bumpy left-hander at the bottom, which tries to throw the car around, just hanging in there as we come into Crocodile. Again, nice liberal usage of the curbing on the right, and we come down to one of the most dangerous corners on the circuit. So reasonably easy lift and coast through the right hander, but a deadly sausage curb on the inside. Just a final corner to go now for Harwick, and we will see our first lap time on the board, although we will not actually, because it does look like somewhere around the lap Harwick has invalidated. So our first lap will be completed by Thomas Spike, who puts in a pace setting time of 1:41.4 and manages to hold on to that top stop for now as the first of our drivers are completing their laps. As we try and check in with our championship leader, Marvin Helgert, leading the way in the overall drivers standings and leading our highest category, the platinum category. Helga is yet to put a time on the board, so we will keep with the Porsche driver. Helga, who has won both the previous seasons of the FRS GT Series. Looks to try and make it a triple. Just one final corner left to navigate. Well, it looks like this may be a bit of a build lap for Helga. It doesn't seem like it's going to be completely blowing the world away as he crosses the line for a 1:43.9. Can only imagine that was a build lap for Helga, as he has just over 9.5 minutes remaining of this session, so plenty of time to find his pace. As our leader in the gold standings find themselves further up the grid already, that is Knack Track in the new Ferrari 296, the 3 new cars in the latest Assetto Corsa Competizione DRC, proving incredibly popular with our grid. You see many Ferraris out there tonight. As Knack Track got themselves a P6 overall last race out, currently heading the way on the gold standings with 36 points to their name, 6 points clear of Tom Lightbody in P2. Currently though, our leader in, or our highest two qualifiers at the moment, the two fastest times, Spike and Nordemir, are both gold class drivers, not platinum class. Perhaps just trying to put their names down on the promotion, the mid-season promotion. But NetTrack crossing the line for a 1:42, almost flat there. As we check in with our leader in the silver split, Gökhan Akdeniz. Currently finding himself down in P15, fourth place of the silvers at the moment. Gökhan, a veteran of the FRS GT Series, has gone very well in their previous seasons. They come down to cross the line, won't be much of an improvement there, but gets them up to P11, P3 so far of the silvers. But good effort there from Akdeniz. And our leader in the bronze split is Krzysztof Gergelibakos. Currently leading the way of the bronze drivers. This group of Bakos, Wanda, Lee and Bernardi clear, quite well clear of the rest of the bronze runners. Oh, as Krzysztof just having a little bit of a moment there, allows Akdeniz past. But as we expected, Marvin Helge on provisional pole position with 6 minutes remaining of this session, followed by Manuel Howick. Howick, who had a little bit of an unfortunate race last time out, retired from the race, so did not score points, so is hoping to get their campaign underway. Kevin Nordemir with a 1:41.5 to his name at the moment. Looking to improve. Has got the pace, it seems. Find a bit more time. Currently 1/10 up on their previous best. So looking to get the jump on Thomas Spike. Seeming like there is a large number of Ferraris out on track tonight. Almost half the grid seeming to be in the new Ferrari. Still up on this lap. Going to be a decent improvement if they can just hang together the final two corners. Just 2 corners remaining. Keeps it tidy, will be in the slipstream, hoping the car ahead doesn't impede them too much. Just a final drag down to the start-finish line. And it's just 0.06 of a second off of pole position for Nordemir, showing that the Dutch driver has certainly got some pace under him as the Tenet's livery Ferrari dives out of his way. And I believe that was the Tenet's liveried Conor McDermott, who is currently leading the way in the silver split, now in the pit lane. You see it. A driver that we've not seen racing, at least with the GT Series in the FRS before. is David Lee in the Golf Iron Brew Racing bike crew. Again, another Ferrari. As David looks to improve, just the final corner to go. It's a little bit scruffy, might just bleed away a little bit of time. Improves in time, but not by enough to challenge Simon Wanda for P2. We'll check to see who else is trying to improve. Thomas Spike. And yet another Ferrari. He raises up the hill through the hairpin. Comes down, just the final corner to go. Will it be a decent improvement for Spike? Needs to find just a few hundredths of a second to take P3 away from Harwick. And could even be challenging for pole position here. And this moves up to P2 for Spike. So the top two positions taken by our gold split drivers. So worth bearing in mind and worth pointing out to those of you who might be new to the FRS GT Series that some of those white badge cars are actually in a different split to the others. We have both our platinum and our gold drivers running the pro badge tonight. There's a lash strike. Looking to improve. Currently on a 1:42.0. Looking to find their way into the 1 minute 41s. Just the final corner to navigate now. Strike. As they cross the line. And that is a jump up into P9. Greg, a platinum driver. So we want to try and find a bit more time ideally before the session ends. One driver who's now on an absolute flyer of a lap. Simon Wanda. Currently P2 in the bronze split. Needs to find a couple of tenths. Move up into the front of the bronze split drivers, and looking like they have that and more in hand during this lap. Just 3 corners to go. Keeping it tidy as they come down to complete the final corner. This would be good enough, I think, to jump them a good number of positions up the field and give them some little bit of breathing room to the next competitor within their split. Yep, as Wanda jumps up to P21, giving a good bit of a clear day between themselves and Bakos in P2 of the bronze drivers. As our current number 2 in the gold standings, Tom Lightbody, crosses the line, only good enough for P14 at the moment. That is some way off of Spike and Nordemir. As Harkhammer, good smile racing, Audi R8. Good to see there's still a number of Audis out there on the track in Season 3. It's not completely dominated by the new cars, as Harkhammer goes deep into the hairpin, and that's going to cost him some time. This does look like Harkhammer is the last of the drivers who will be able to improve, but not if they go around the go through Crocodile sideways. That is not the way to find time. So, as it stands, this will be our grid for tonight's race. But we'll go to a short break, but do stick around as we will be ready to start tonight's race in just a few short minutes. And as our drivers line up on the grid, let's take you through our starting order for tonight's race. Opposition, we have got Marvin Helge. And completing the first row will be Thomas Spike. Behind them is Kevin Nordemir and Manuel Harwick. We have Christoph DeMay. The first of our Aston Martins is Ollie Sumner. We have Streg, followed by Track. Got Gonçalves and McDermott behind them. And we've got the second of our silver runners, Actonitz and Amez. We've got Sue and Tom Lightbody. Lars Pintilla, P15. Behind him is Civic. We have Spit in the second of Aston Martins, or third of Aston Martins, and Harkar Kemmer. Van der Heijden and Skyn. Wanda, Matei. We have Nick Booth. And Hicks, Ramadan, and Gali. Bakos, and Lee. Brothers, and Rogers. Then rounding out the rest of our grid, we have got in the Audi Mitchell Van Winsum and Benedict. Wilkes and Gomez in the Porsche. We have Greg Harrison, Philip von Scheven, Montegino, Stephen Tutt, Moniz and Royale rounding out the back of the grid as our drivers pull away for their formation lap. We will be ready to start racing in just a few short minutes as Marvin Helge leads the cars round. On the slow formation lap, they'll just be looking to warm their tyres, get their cars prepared for this 60-minute race with one mandatory pit stop. As Helge carries the number 1 badge for his previous 1 championships, be looking to hold on to his reputation as the number 1 driver in the FRS. Well, Thomas Spike, who is a gold split driver, let's not forget, not in the same, necessarily in the same race as Helge. Will he want to try and challenge Helge into the first corner? With the wide straight and equally wide turn 1 here at Kyalami. Certainly possible to make a lunge, as then the drivers need to be a bit more careful as they head into the tightening turn 2. As Helge brings us around the final corner. We are but moments away. Final 2 corners. I lost my bearings there on the track, but we are moments away from getting this race started. As Thomas Spike will be on the outside of Marvin Helge as they come down the start-finish straight. Will Kevin Nordermeer and Manuel Harwick try and get involved in this start? As we wait patiently for the green lights to signify the start of this race. And the green flag waves, and we are racing here at Kyalami. As Marvin Helge holds the lead, and there's actually looks like Manuel Harwick getting a jump on both Nordermeer. Oh, there's contact behind. And looks like that was heavy contact. Not sure who that was who instigated that impact. But there's definitely been a big collision behind. But as Marvin Helge leads them away, followed by Manuel Harwick, Thomas Spike and Kevin Nordermeer. I believe it was the number 12 car who instigated that one. Also not the number 12 car. I don't know who that was. But let's see if we can get a view of what happened there. As Thomas Lightbody is considerably down the order. And what has happened here? Oh, and it looks like it's contact between Streg. I'm not sure what the other driver was there, but I believe it was Streg who instigated that one. Streg, who's now on the back of Nattrack. We'll have to wait and see what the stewards have to say about that one. As Conor McDermott has a 20-second penalty, I believe, for an incident in qualifying, impeding another driver on a flying lap. And Streg lining up Nattrack. Not quite able to get the overlap as they come through turn 2. As Matthias Pentilla looks like making a move up into turn 1. Around the outside goes Pentilla. Turns to the inside for turn 2. And that is a good move from Matthias Pentilla, who qualified somewhat out of position in tonight's race. Looking to make amends. As we've got a battle for the lead of the silver split. There's Vizo Su. Very close up behind Conor McDermott as they head into the hairpin. A scary braking zone to be right up behind another car as they make it through. As we have battling going on in the mid-pack. I think Klein has just lost out on a number of positions. Oh, Klein going quite deep into the hairpin, it seems, and that is why they've lost out on positions. Does well to avoid everyone else. They come back through. There's Alex Amez dropping back as well. And it's all change on this busy grid tonight. As Gökhan Akdeniz fancies trying to get past Alex Amez, looks to the inside. Will this be a move by Akdeniz? And yep, Amez backs. Oh, well, looked like Amez had backed way out of it, but a bit deep on the brakes, nearly making contact with Akdeniz. They are through, as is Spit. But Akdeniz not getting clear of their fellow silver split drivers. As that looks like one of the back marker Mercedes just trying to get out of the way as we've got penalty for car 111 for causing a collision. So was that the incident at the start? See if we can get a look at that one. Oh, so that was what instigated this entire crash, was the contact between Gabriel Gonzalez and Streg, which started the whole arrangement of pinballing. So not only is Gabriel Gonzalez now find themselves running at the back of the pack, they have got a 10-second penalty which will be served at the end of this race. Back up the front, Thomas Spike closing in on Manuel Harwick. This trio do seem to have dropped Kevin Nordemir. Whether Nordemir not just having the pace to keep up or is running a different strategy to this trio. But the battle for P1 very much on, as Marvin Helgert finds himself being chased by a pair of gold split drivers. Well, actually, I may have to correct myself there. I believe Harwick is actually a platinum driver. Yes, Harwick is a platinum driver, but it's Thomas Spike who is the gold driver in this battle for the lead. As it looks like Viso's suit has made their way past Conor McDermott. So let's see how this was done for Viso. Was it a dive up the inside? And it was a very nicely done by Suit up into the lead of the silver split. As there's a real train of cars all the way from P5 down to P14. Matthias Pintella looking to make way. Gets up past Tom Lightbody into P10. A strong showing from Pintella. Didn't have the best of qualifyings, but in the race, well, actually, apologies, did have good qualifying, but has lost out at the start of the race and is now fighting their way back through. So I think Pintilla actually caught up in that lap 1 carnage and has lost out quite considerably. Either that or my stat tracking system is completely broken. But Pintilla really looking like they've got race pace in the Honda, sizing up the back of McDermott. McDermott carrying that 20-second penalty in a completely different class to Pintilla. This does look like Conor McDermott just dropping... Well, actually, no, sorry. Viso Su dropping back ever so slightly from Streg. Forming a secondary train as Civic having a look on Tom Lightbody. Not close enough to make anything of it at the moment, but letting his intention be known. Civic now getting extremely close to the back of Tom Lightbody, and right on the back of Civic is Van der Heijden. Sumner has made their way past Lee. See what's happened here. Sumner find themselves fighting a lower split driver. And in the end, just a dart to the inside. Looks like was able to get on the throttle earlier from that. He just unfortunately didn't catch the end of that move. As Matthias Pentilla continuing to try and carve their way through. Sticking right to the back of Conor McDermott. Should have a good run here out of the final corner. McDermott just bouncing a little bit over the curb. This should be a good run now for Pentilla. And will Pentilla look to make a dive into the first corner? Pulls out of the slipstream. Deep on the brakes. They're side by side through turn 1. Is McDermott going to try and hold it on through turn 2? No, slots back up inside behind the Honda, and Matthias Pentilla now up to P9 in the race. As we have another trio of drivers. DeMay, Natrak, Butch and Streg. As it looks like the number, I'm not sure who that is, I think that's Benedict, just looking to get out of the way of some of the lead drivers. At the moment, a lot of drivers just looking comfortable to settle in, follow the car ahead of them. As we see a long snake of cars winding their way through the third sector. As Mitchell Van Winsum makes their way past Rogers up into P22, and we're seeing some of our drivers making their mandatory pit stop quite early on in this race as Simon Wander dives into pit road. And it does seem like Conor McDermott slipping back just a little bit, has now lost another position to Tom Lightbody. And is under pressure from Civic, who looks to the inside into the fast right-hander. Nothing doing just yet, but Civic putting McDermott under real pressure at the moment. McDermott, who does seem like a Sue, has just disappeared off into the distance a little way. And the battle is on for P2 in the silver split. The Civic aims to go round the outside. It's bold and it's opened the door there for Van der Heijden to have a look up the inside. And it looks like it might actually be Civic who's becoming under pressure at the moment. McDermott keeping a tight line through the crocodiles. McDermott just a little wide of the apex there. Not quite close enough a run for Civic this time around. Just ahead of these, we have got DeMay, Track, Streg, and just hanging on to the back of them we have the silver split driver of Sue. We've got yellow flags out in the first sector for 332. I think that is just Benedy trying to get out of the way of some of the faster cars. But DeMay under serious pressure from track at the moment. They head up into the hairpin at the top of the hill. Track having a little look, putting a nose right under the diffuser of DeMay, and track going to have a good run here. They're going to be side by side through the mine shaft. Oh, nearly rubbing doors as they break down into the crocodiles. Nettrack hanging on around the outside, shown the door by DeMay. And all the while, this is allowing Streg and Sue to hang on to the back of them, and Matthias Pentilla is quickly catching up to this fight. They come safely through the first corner. Civic now looking to take P2 in the silver split away from Conor McDermott. And hold it around the outside of P2. Oh, very nearly coming a cropper. Oh, they have contact. Let's see if we can get another angle of that one. They're side by side, practically rubbing through turn 2. Oh, and the stewards, I think, will want to take a little look at that one as Conor McDermott comes, spinning back onto the track, and it looked like there's actually someone else making contact with the back of McDermott there as well. So McDermott really losing out on that one. As now Mitchell Van Winsum looking like they want to have a go at McDermott. McDermott really looking like that is a damage-stricken car, and I am not surprised. The heavy contact we saw is McDermott dropping down the field. As we've seen a change for P3, Nordemir getting past Spike. And I am interested to see what has happened to Spike. Going to be a long old replay because I'm not quite sure what's happening. Because as we can see, considerable gap back to Nordemir. There's something quite dramatic must have happened to Spike. Back live, I can inform you that Conor McDermott has pitted for that damage and has dropped considerably back. Something must have happened to Spike here. Oh, a big old slide for Spike. Finds himself stuck in the middle of the track. Now off onto the grass. So that is why we saw Spike dropping down the field. And Spike now also lost out on a position to DeMay. So things going from bad to worse for Spike. As now Spike is actually finding themselves as the cork in the bottle. As Sue looking to go around the outside of Streg. These drivers all within half a second of each other as we see blue flags out for the Mercedes. I believe that is Booth ahead. As the first car on this. Oh, as that is Spike around again. Spike not having the best of races. Was that contact there for Spike or just a spin on their own again? Oh, it's another spin on their own again. The cars behind very lucky to miss the rear of that Ferrari. But whether it's tyre degradation or just twitchy setup, things not working out for Spike, who was running in P3, now finds themselves down in P13 after just a few short laps. as Gomez has made their way past Greg Harrison. They come down into the crocodiles. Oh, heavy on the brakes from Gomez. Bold move. Harrison must have seen that in the mirrors. Does well to just give space. We'll probably have a few choice words as we've got yellow flags out for spit. I'm not sure what. Oh! Well, we picked up the incident late, but spit sideways on the track. It has to be said, that is suboptimal. As Manuel Harwick has caught right onto the back of our race leader, Marvin Helge. We come down into turn one. Harwick finding some pace as we're find ourselves 20 minutes into the race as Bakos seemingly in trouble. Is it going to be the crocodiles catching out another driver? As Bakos was comfortably in the lead. Oh, as wow, well, we've picked up on something interesting ahead as well. As it looked like that was Hart Karkema getting caught out by one of the back markers. Not sure whether that distracted Bakos or whether Bakos just having a moment on their own. But that has allowed Lee through into the lead of the bronze split. There's Matthias Pentilla. Sniffing around the back of Sue. With the quicker exit and really pressuring the back of our lead silver driver. Sue maybe going to want to opt for just allowing Pentilla through. It's not a class battle and Pentilla really applying the pressure. Come through into the second sector. Pentilla keeping pace with Sue. Sue doing very well in amongst these gold and platinum drivers. Just hanging on in there and showing that they've got the pace when it matters. We've got yellow flags out for Thomas Wilkes with a real tank slapper. Not sure if we were catching the back of something there, but that was on a hell of a slide from Thomas Wilkes. Thomas Wilkes on the back of Royale. Royale, who's had a tremendous start to this race, having, at least from memory, starting this race right at the back, now up into P21. As Thomas Spike round again, really not having the best of races after such a strong qualifying, getting themselves P2 on the grid. Spike now down in P15. Those tyres must be absolutely screaming at him the times they've been sliding across the track. Manuel Harwick now close as he's ever been to the back. Marvin Helgert. As Helgert dives off into the pit lane, very nearly catching out Hartwick. But now, with clean air ahead of him, this is the time for Hartwick to push. And interesting choice of time for Helgert to pit with such a stretch of clean air ahead. I would have imagined the Porsche driver would have just stayed out a little while longer and taken advantage of no traffic, but it's going to be interesting to see where it does Helgert re-emerge on track. We'll keep an eye on that. As Helgert still stopped in the pit box. Been stopped for just over 30 seconds. So I can only imagine they've taken new tyres to last them the rest of the race. So Helgert is going to be rapid in this second stint with the fresh tyres. As Marvin Helgert re-emerges second behind Bakos. We've got yellow flags for Sumner and Ames, and we've got Sumner going slowly. I think there is going to be something of a story to this one. There's Sumner now on the back of Ames, looks to the inside, and oof, that is a heavy hit on the Lamborghini into the wall. And no wonder Oscar Sumner was waiting for Ames as wow, that looked like an assassination attempt. As Marvin Helgert is trying to carve their way back through the traffic. He's passed Bakos without losing too much time. Next up down the road will be Lee. They need to make sure they don't get caught out too much. As Viso Suit still holding on between Streg and Pentilla. A really, really encouraging performance here from the Silver Split driver. As no surprise. Actually no. It's a surprise. We have got penalties coming out for Viso Suit. 10-second penalty. I'm not sure which incident that's for. There's a Nat Track is caught up to Christophe Demey. As Vito Su, their penalty fresh in their mind. Even closer now to Streg. Really showing their worth here. Right tucked in behind Platinum Driver. As we're seeing a number of our drivers now making their mandatory pit stop in this race. Matthias Pentilla wanting Sue to get a wiggle on. Is tucked up right under the diffuser of that Ferrari. Looks to the inside, late on the brakes by Pentilla. Sue leaving the room. It's a side by side coming through the crocodiles. Pentilla deciding that caution is the better part of valor, not wanting to go side by side. Through the dangerous corner, which is Cheetah. Often see cars going airborne over the sausage curb at Cheetah, and Pentilla wanting no part of that. As both Spit and Wilkes have made their mandatory pit stop. Spit now just ahead of Wilkes. But that's working out quite well for them. As Pentilla dive into the inside. There's Garley and Spit racing hard. Spit looks to the inside, up at the hairpin. No, not close enough to be making a lunge there. Chooses caution. I have to say, look, very much the sensible thing to do. There's Gabriel looking to go round the outside of Tom Lightbody. Not quite doing there. Has got the pace and has worked their way back up after having to make an early pit stop after that first lap incident. And is now putting the pressure on Tom Lightbody. And Garley down to the first corner again. Garley, Spit and Wilkes separated on track by not very much. This is the battle for P6 in the silver split, with Sue and Civic considerably further ahead, although I believe Civic is yet to stop. Actually no, Civic in P2 on merit actually after that battle with McDermott earlier. Spit has a glance to the inside, would be an optimistic corner to attempt to move in, settles to tuck back behind Garley as Thomas Spike's race has gone from bad to terrible to even more terrible. They pick up a stop-go 30 penalty. Not sure if that's for speeding in the pit lane or for multiple track limit violations, but not having a good day of it is Thomas Spike. As both our leaders have now pitted. Kevin Nordemit leading this race. 13 seconds back to Viso Suit. There's Marvin Helget comes out, or sorry, remains ahead of Harwick, who has just made their mandatory pit stop. Harwick stationary in the pits for 34 seconds. So both drivers opting to take brand new tyres for this last stint at the race. Harwick will be on the slightly fresher rubber, as Helget, making the aggressive dive up the inside, does not want to get held up. As they try and find their way past, I believe that is Greg Haringzord. So the battle for the lead very much still on. It's Manuel Harwick trying to find their way through the same traffic that Marvin Helget made their way past just a few corners earlier. Further down the field, Thomas Wilkes still on the back of Royal. Both drivers having pitted, majority of our drivers actually having pitted. At the front, I believe it's just Nordemir who is yet to make their mandatory pit stop. Actually, no, my mistake, as both Sue and Civic dive into the pit lane. Wilkes slowly catching on to the back of Royal. Royal going very deep into the Crocodiles. Has now got a Thomas Wilkes right up behind them and seems to be struggling with the pressure as they run slightly wide through Cheetah. And Thomas Wilkes now right on the back of the Lamborghini. Will he look to the inside in turn one? Will Royal go to defend it? Wilkes goes to the inside. And holding on the inside, will turn to the outside for turn two. And then the all-important turn 3s and 4, in which Wilkes staying ahead, got the position onto the long back straight. Royal not giving up on this one yet. Had a look into Sunset, but so far, oh, actually Royal looking up the inside as there's a little bit of contact as the two are side by side, but Wilkes holding on to the position. And Thomas Wilkes up into P21, and that puts him P7 in the silver split. There's Nat Track and Stroke continue to battle. As I'm not sure what car that is ahead of them. Oh, that is Tut. And the number 666 Ferrari just getting out of the way. There's Thomas Spike. Wow, he's actually having a knot. Oh, Thomas Spike actually passed Tut. So Thomas Spike on a recovery drive now, down in P13 after starting this race in P2. He's really not having a day of it. As Matthias Pentilla has caught up onto this battle over P5, carving their way back through the field after an early race incident. As Kevin Nordemir continues to hang on in the lead of this race, still yet to make their mandatory pit stop, has evidently gone quite heavy on fuel into this race. Can only imagine they're going for the minimal fuel, no tyre strategy. Is with this patch and the 25-second minimum pit stop time, an interesting one to go for. At the moment, Strike just holding on in front of Track and Pentilla. Back after serving their penalty and serving their pit stop. Oscar Sumner back behind Ames. Ames probably a little bit more fearful of Sumner behind after that earlier incident. Come up over the hill, around the hairpin. Sumner just gone a little bit deep, a little bit slippery around there on the outside. Sumner. Oh! And that was what I was talking about with the sausage curb at Cheetah, and Oscar Sumner giving us a very good demonstration of why you don't want to hit it as that Aston Martin grows rings and goes airborne. And that has given Ames a little bit of breathing room. Streg does not have such a luxury of breathing room, with Track breathing right down their neck. They come through the S's. As track looks to the inside onto the hairpin. Not nearly close enough, very nearly making contact with the back of the Mercedes ahead of him. As Matthias Pentilla looking for a way past track. Pentilla looks to the inside. Will it be a late lunge on the brakes? It is. Going to try and hang it around the inside. Hang it around the outside for turn 2. Can Pentilla hold on to the position? Little bit of door banging just to get themselves the space for turn 3. Avoid getting forced over the sausage curb, and Pentilla is up into P6. Now, Streg and Pentilla and track all have to navigate the back marker traffic ahead of them. Who can be held up the least is the challenge of the day. As Streg has given themselves a little bit of breathing room, with track now struggling to get past Philip von Scheven. I believe that is Spike trying to make their way through, as well as there's contact between von Scheven and track. That is going to find track extremely disappointed as they come through the S's and up the hill to the hairpin. I believe that is Spike trying to get involved as well. Oh, as looks like track just trying to open the corner up for themselves, and von Scheven not giving the room. Sensible thing from the back marker there might have just been to get out of the way of the battling cars. As Nordemir has made and cleared their mandatory pit stop and re-emerges into P3. It is Harwick we're going to keep an eye on, as they are now right on the back of Marvin Helge. And drop back due to traffic earlier on is now pushing the very limits of the track. We saw getting just a couple of wheels out onto the asphalt outside of the curbing. Okay to use that as long as you keep 2 wheels on the curb itself. But Hartwick really pushing now. Can taste a victory. Just 12 minutes of this race remaining. Hartwick, the tighter inside line, which should have good traction off the corner. Going to slip into the toe of the Porsche. Going to look to the outside. Forces Helge into a tighter line through the crocodiles. There's good battling from our lead pair. Manuel Hartwick looking again to the inside. Marvin Helge not close enough to try anything this time around. Just letting his presence be known, showing himself in the mirrors. As Hartwick continues to attack Helge. See, 10-second penalty coming out for Pentilla. Only imagine that is for the slight contact we saw earlier See if we can get another look of this one from the helicam. Oh, wait, no, okay, no, it was for a completely different incident, and yep, that one is totally justified. I thought this was going to be for the door banging through turn 3. But no, this was for a much clearer incident. As Hartwick, right on the back of Helga, using all of the track and then some. It's going to compromise his exit and the run down to turn 1. Hartwick continuing to apply pressure, continuing to try to find a way past Marvin Helga. And Hartwick through, as I look away for a moment. I need to see for myself what happened here. Oh, it is just Helga getting a little bit out onto the grass. Compromised him on traction. And that is what has allowed Manuel Hartwick through into the lead of this race with just 8 minutes and 44 seconds remaining. Hartwick in prime position to take their first win of the FRS GT Series after having to retire from round 1 with damage. It's looking like an excellent comeback for Hartwick. Matthias Pentilla now right on the back of Streg. But that 10-second penalty, they're going to really need to have some pace if they're going to have to get past Streg and then make up 10 seconds. Feels like a little bit of a tall order here for Pentilla, but of course getting past Streg would have its benefits anyway, of just allowing them to produce a bit more of a gap to the cars behind. But they're going to want to make their way through if they can. Come down onto the long run towards turn 1. If we take a look at some of the pitting choices of some of these drivers, seems like our 2 leaders did take tyres at their pit stop. However, Nordemir, DeMay, it just seems like it's Nordemir and DeMay of our entire grid, seemingly the only 2 who did not opt to switch tyres. As Helga just dropping away from Hartwick at the moment. Matthias Pentilla still applying the pressure to Streg, and now they're catching on to the back marker traffic, as I believe that is Struthers and Harrison ahead. Those 2 in a battle for position of their own, so aren't going to be too generous in getting out of the way of our P5 and 6 drivers, as they both make their way past Struthers. Of course, we will want to try and hang on to the back of this pair, see if he can make up some ground against Harrison, as Pentilla has a little bit of a wobble there. The rear stepping away. But thankfully for Pentilla, Straight having to get past Harrison. Just behind this battle, we have got Van der Heyden trying to catch up and pass on Gökhan Akdeniz. Not a battle for split position, but the Mercedes and the Ferrari finding themselves in a little bit of a Porsche sandwich. Oh, and is that is Thomas Spike off the track again? I think Thomas Track spending his time sideways more than he... Oh, and off the track again for Thomas Spike, who I can only imagine whose head is not in this race very much anymore after the disaster of a race they've had so far. Oh, that is a shame. It seems there's a hardware problem for Philip von Scheven. There's Nick Buff in the quite heavily damaged Mercedes, trying to find their way past Gomez. We'll leave this very quickly as we do have, seems like a change for position. Wilkes in their way past Royal, although it looks like actually Royal already passed by Wilkes quite early on. So what has happened here? Oof! That is quite the hip check there between Wilkes and Royal. As we're getting into the final 5 minutes of this race and drivers getting closer and closer to each other, it seems. Not getting the late race field spread we'd usually find ourselves with. Getting quite a few battles emerging. And Matthias Pentilla trying to find their way past Strag, as they have been for lap after lap after lap now. This could finally be, yep, the Strag backs out, gives Pentilla the space to get by. Probably quite smartly judging that Pentilla, with that 10-second penalty, is going to find it hard to pull enough of a gap to hold on to that particular position. There's Vizo Su. He's right on the back of Tom Lightbody. Tom Lightbody, who has had to serve a drive-through penalty in this race. He's doing well to still be in P10. So it's battling ahead, as I think that is Booth off the track, finding their way past Gomez. As, oh, the four cars are so close to get. Oh, and Gomez there with the double kill. Oh, what has happened here? Let's just watch this one again. So as they come through, the cheetahs are, oh sorry, the crocodiles. Oh wow. That was, yeah, quite the incident there. Gomez. as the time runs out on this race. Manuel Hartwick holding a comfortable lead still over Marvin Helge after getting that overtake done just a few short laps ago. They come around the final sector. It will be Manuel Hartwick to take the checkered flag here at Kyalami. Take the win at round 2 of the FRS GT Series Season 3. It will be followed home in P2 by Marvin Helge, who was running such a dominant race up until those final few laps. P3 will be Kevin Nordemir as he flashes the lights over the line. A well strategized race there from Nordemir, capitalizing on the mistakes of Thomas Spike to take home and fill out the podium, as Christophe Demey takes P4 and Matthias Pentilla will cross the line in P5. We'll have to wait until everyone has crossed the line to see what that final position will be for Pentilla, as Strake brings it home in P6. Van der Heijden P7, followed by Gok and Actonitz. And then Tom Lightbody will take P9, followed very closely behind by Vizo Su. And we have Gabriel Gonçalves and a very heavily damaged Ferrari of Naptrack. We have Sumner. The first of our Lamborghini finishers will be Amez. Rounding out the podium for silver will be Mitchell van Winsum. As I try and find Christophe Gergely Bakos, who crosses the line P16, but first of the bronze runners, as second place in the bronze runners will go to David Lee, and already finishing the race, rounding out our podium of the silvers will be Brothers. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, as we finish off round 2 of the FRS GT Series. Congratulations to our winners and runners-up in all of the splits. Our race was won tonight by Manuel Hartwick. And next week, the FRS GT Series goes to Silverstone for round 3. But until next time, have a very lovely rest of your week, and we will round you out with this broadcast with the replays from tonight's race. So do stick around.